Wrap me in a bolt of lightning, send me on my way still smiling. Maybe that's the way I should go, straight into the mouth of the unknown. I left the spare key on the table, I never really thought I'd be able to say I merely visit on the weekends. I lost my whole life and a dear friend. I've said it so many times.
How you feeling? There's a flu bug going around your locker room last week or so.
Yeah, I feel good.
And I think a while back you talked about something along the lines of earning your paycheck in the regular season and you cement your legacy in the playoffs. What does Sunday mean as far as helping in that direction?
It's just, it's a playoff game at home. We haven't had one of those, in a while. Feels good to be back in the playoffs. There's not the same type of squad that we've had in years past that have a ton of playoff experience. I mean, that's what happens when you go to the playoffs 8 straight years. You kind of get used to that feeling and understand what it's all about. So it's going to be new for, I think more than half of our team, which will be a good test for those guys to settle down early on. But we wanted one of these for a while. A division game at home, good opponent with the weather in our favor.
Aaron, a year ago today, Matt landed in Green Bay as the new head coach of the Packers. A year ago, when you found out he was going to be the next head coach, what stuck out to you about that day, or what do you remember? I
was golfing, and I kind of shanked one up 6 after the conversation I had with him. John. I enjoyed our conversation. I wasn't sure how far along the process was, but I was, kind of told right after when I was talking to Brian that that's who they wanted to go with. So, it was exciting. Obviously, change is always difficult. I think you have to embrace it and focus on the positives. And there were a lot of positives, with Matt right away. And it's been an exciting year. It's funny, I think, in life in general, how much can change in a year. When you think about the feeling of the organization and disappointment and everybody really being gone. Now we're here. There's 8 teams left in the playoffs. I think there's a different sentiment about the squad and which way our arrow is pointing and the excitement that the playoffs brings to the organization in the area and the region.
Matt doesn't like to talk about his own accomplishments a lot. I guess we'll rely on you guys to talk for him in that regard. What do you think the biggest thing he has done that has allowed you all to have success this year?
Well, I think the best teams are player-led teams, and I think he's allowed the players to take ownership of important parts of the squad, and the biggest thing is the leadership part, letting guys kind of be themselves. It was from the start, it was a limited amount of rules and very simplistic approach. Be a professional, be on time, be prepared, don't make excuses, make it about the team. Be the best version of yourself in the locker room, embrace your role and make the most of it. And I think it's allowed guys to make decisions to buy in every day. I think, obviously a big part of the success of the team has been the moves that we made, and then the way that those moves have kind of gelled with the rest of the squad. Obviously bringing in big name players, even though they weren't the biggest names to start. Not many of us outside of the AFC North knew a ton about Zadarius Smith, but he, like I said, he's been a great addition to the squad. We knew about Preston and played against him. He's obviously been a great addition. Same with Adrian, played against him. Nobody really knew who Billy Turner was. Is it Bill or Billy, coming in? Bill Turner, is that a real name, And then it's this, huge black dude with dreads coming in who's the, nicest, most humble guy off the field and just an absolute warrior on the field playing through injuries. I think I saw he had the most snaps all season. It's a credit to him and the way that he prepares. So what Brian did in the offseason, bringing those guys in and Matt's leadership and allowing the guys to really be themselves, I think is definitely give us a great chance to be successful.
There was a time when on green he was really rolling, and Brett didn't feel like he had to do everything all the time. And I'm not sure he liked that necessarily, but you're in that situation now where you have a defense, you've got a running game. Do you like the idea that maybe you don't always have to be, it's not all on you, or would you rather it be that way?
I love winning. and whatever it takes for us to win, that's the most important thing. I'm the age now, I believe, that Brett was when I was drafted, and you're obviously closer to the finish than the beginning. The most important thing is winning, and I know how difficult, a couple of those years were when we weren't winning, and how the last couple of years were here. Winning is a cure-all, and if you truly care about the squad and embrace your role, then you feel like you're a part of something special, and I feel like that I have been this year. It's been a lot of fun.
To Josh's legacy question from a moment ago, how much is a chance to get a second Super Bowl driven you? Maybe not so much it's on your mind like today, but off season, day to day, it's the chance to get to number 2 and number 3 and so on.
Oh, Bill, it's on my mind every day. I mean, that's why we play the game. That's why you put in the time in the off season. That's why you do the little things. It's to put yourself in this position where we're 2 games away from being able to compete for that. I'm 36. I know what this is all about. This is an important opportunity for us. I feel like I got a lot of really good years left, but you never know. A lot of things happen year to year. We've had some great teams that, have been an injury away or, play away from being special. So I want to make the most of this opportunity.
So is this different somehow when you are 36 and not 31?
Yeah, when I was 31, I thought I was going to play to my 40s, and that was still a decade away. Now I'm 36, so now we're a half a decade away.
I'm curious, at this point in your career, do you feel pressure for games like these, or is that something you've grown out of?
I don't, I'm not sure exactly how to answer that the right way. I think everybody feels pressure. I think it's a different type of pressure, though. I think as a young player, it's the pressure to be successful that I think is often on your mind. I think it's a different pressure, kind of like Big Dog said on his, I saw on social media a couple days ago. The pressure that you put on yourself is to be accountable to your teammates and to be able to have your teammates know that you were ready to play, that you left it all out there, and that you care about them enough to lay it on the line. That's the pressure that I think drives all great competitors is loving winning and that feeling, and hating losing, and wanting to compete with your friends and teammates.
Aaron, this year a lot has been made about the close games your team has played. Seattle's played a ton of close games as well. What's the difference between teams that win those close games and the teams that lose them, do you think, other than chance? It doesn't seem like that.
Yeah, I've said character. I think character is really important, and it's not like the kind of character maybe that comes to mind first. I'm not talking about like good guys or a good feeling. I'm talking about understanding how to win, and in those moments the character that comes through is a hyper focus, I think, and an understanding of what it takes in those moments to win. And it's a learned trait. I don't think it's something you start the season out with. It's a learned trait that you learn throughout the year, and we've thankfully had a number of those games that have gone our way, and we've learned how to get it done in those moments.
Speaking of character, I know Tremont said he didn't want his career to end in Green Bay like it did in that NFC Championship game, so he said coming back is another opportunity. So what's it just like having him as a guy in the locker room, the leadership, and getting another shot at the Seahawks in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's been amazing. From the first day he got back here, he's got that wow factor, and he always has. From the first time he was in here, and I remember hearing about the stories of him playing on the Green Machine, which was the basketball team that went around and stomped on any team they faced here. We don't do that anymore, but it was an off-season thing. And just hearing about his athleticism, to the pick 6 against Atlanta in the 11 playoffs, to him just coming back and continuing to make plays for football, his advanced age, especially for his position. Not many guys are able to do it for that long. He got an All-Pro vote, I think, this year as well, which was well-deserved. He's a very steady guy in the locker room. Always has been, but he's a man of wisdom as well. I think, what helped him out a lot was playing with Charles and being friends with Charles. He has the same type of charisma that Charles has, and just talking to him and knowing what he's thinking, it'd be nice to, if this is going to be his last year, to send him out the right way.
Aaron, how does the character in this locker room? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. How does the character in this locker room feel different than other teams?
every year I think is different. It's about the cohesion of personality, and I think that when you bring in a guy like Za'Darius, and he's such a willing leader, but also an engaging personality. Like he loves hanging out. He loves getting together. He loves, planning trips or having me plan trips for him and the defense or the squad. He's a really fun-loving guy, and I think sometimes it takes one or two guys like that to allow everybody else to kind of give more of themselves and open up and do more. And Jimmy Graham coming to team functions, I'm not saying that Z is the reason for that, but if Z wasn't bringing the fun like he did this year, I don't know that some of these guys wouldn't show up. But it's broadened some of the guys out of their shells, and I think when you have more guys able to be themselves, you have a group that enjoys hanging out. You have a group that's closer.
Is there one memorable team function, even maybe back to the off season, that jumps out for you?
Yeah, Halloween, for sure. We had a fun get together over at the train station, a train museum in town, and we had a couple fun moments that I'll keep within the squad. But that was a really fun function.
Aaron, what are your thoughts on this year's Seahawks team, especially Russell Wilson and the way he's led the team and continues to lead the team, and they're always contenders in the postseason, it seems. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we've always had some good games over the years. Yeah, the way it's gone over the years, other than once, I think the home team has got it done just about every time. Because we have obviously a very good home field advantage, and they do too. Some back and forth, some tough ones over the years. Big moments. It's been fun competing against him and Pete. It's a lot of their guys have come and gone, coordinator-wise and player-wise, but they always seem to find the similar body types, fit in those spots. So you're looking out at, Shaq and Flowers, and it reminds you of Sherman and Brandon Browner, and then KJ and Bobby are still there, so they're always kind of been there. But you got a shorter free safety, like Earl was. So it's some good memories over the years, good battles.
Russell, quarterback, Aaron, how do you feel about the way quarterbacks are portrayed at this time of year? Last week was so much attention on all the guys who hadn't won a game yet in the playoffs. This game, for a lot of people, is Russell Wilson against Aaron Rodgers. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's for the TV ratings and the advertisements. Playoff games are won as a team. Obviously, the quarterback gets a lot of attention. We understand that's why we play the position, because we want to have an impact on the game every single play. You grow up, dreaming about being Joe Montana and Steve Young and Michael Jordan, not just because they're iconic players, but because they got the ball in their hands, and that's what it's all about. But the other conjecture is just for, people to sit around a desk and talk about who they like and who they don't like.
Russ has played a lot better at home against this Packers defense than on the road. As a quarterback, is there anything to feeling any more or less comfortable in a particular stadium, whether it's home or away, or an actual just location from your position?
Yeah, I think so. I do. I mean, I think, there's been stadiums over the years that are just a little more difficult to play in, whether it's conditions, whether it's field conditions or weather conditions or noise. They obviously have an incredible noise factor up at their place. Kansas City does as well. But there's some tough places to play around the league. Chicago obviously is a tough place to play, because you have the weather factor, you have the field factor, you have the fan factor, and they always have a good team as well. So there are some tougher places to play than others for sure.
Aaron, this seems like the healthiest your squad's been this time of year since maybe the last time you played in the playoffs. 14 seems like pretty healthy. When you go so many years between good luck with that health, do you start to look at things as to maybe why we stayed healthier this year? And is there anything that jumps out that you've done differently with training or rehab or the team's done to be healthy?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, some of that is luck. I really do feel like, there's some non-contact injuries that you just can't fix. There's no fix for that. But the stuff you can take care of, it seems like this year there's been less, the strains, the muscle strains, and the little injuries that have hurt us over the years, the nagging injuries. I think there's been great communication between Giz and his staff and Adam and the training staff and Matt. And, I think I think there is something to maybe the practice times and some of the ways we practice. I think it's it's some stuff that's helped us be maybe a little more fresh on game day and maybe avoid some injuries. But the biggest key is guys taking care of their bodies the right way and being proactive. And I think our guys done a pretty good job of that. But when you add in, maybe a schedule and good communication between all the nutritional and workout and treatment phases, I think that helps.
Aaron, middle of the year, particularly San Diego and San Francisco, edge rushers were causing a lot of problems for you guys, and then all of a sudden it seems like it hasn't been as big a problem. Were there some changes you guys made regarding that? Do you think it was just a matter of Dave and Brian going up against real good competition those weeks, or have there been adjustments?
Well, first of all, Spoon, thanks for saying San Diego, because I've been catching myself on mine too, because I have a hard time saying LA as well. But I think it's confidence, 100%. I think there was a couple maybe dents in the confidence a little bit, and once those got fixed and sanded out, I think they've been locked in. I think Brian, was maybe had a little bit of a finger issue, and he was a little worried about punching maybe one of those games. And, both those guys, from time to time were banged up this year. But I think it's confidence. When they feel confident, they're tough to get around. And it just sometimes it takes a tougher performance to kind of get re-locked in. I think that's what happened for both of them, kind of following those games. And, went up against, Chicago, obviously great pass rushers, and Minnesota, great pass rushers, and really held their own. And they're playing with a lot of confidence, more confidence.
We do any politicking behind the scenes this offseason, maybe get a preseason game with Dallas now that Mike's down there?
That'd be awesome. It'd be great to maybe spend a week out there, get out to California. I wouldn't mind that. I don't think it's ever going to happen. They'd have to come to us, but I think we're definitely in store for some more joint practices.
Did anybody from Dallas reach out to you in the last couple of days just to ask you about Mike and what they're getting?
No.
Were you surprised that's where he ended up?
I don't know. I mean, Dallas we've had a lot of success down there, and I think that was probably one of the reasons. We've obviously won the Super Bowl there, but we've won some big games down there over the years. So I'm not surprised that Jerry had an infatuation with Mike, because we've had some really good performances. I don't know. I thought maybe he would go somewhere where he had maybe some GM opportunity as well, but I'm happy for him. I sent him a text. He sent me a text back. So.
The screenplay in Detroit to Aaron Jones, and that's a play you call, right, because it's 2 minutes. Aaron Jones, he said, I'm not sure he got the ball to me. Does a play like that kind of epitomize this team's ability to finish this year, whatever it took?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think a lot of stuff goes into those situational offensive times, and there's some common sense that has to happen in games like that, and we've made plays in those important times and adjusted well. I'm not going to bore you with how I actually called that play, but I appreciate these guys, because sometimes I have some flashbacks and moments like that and start calling things the way I used to call them. But luckily we're on the same page on that one.
Aaron, how are you feeling, and any concern about, I guess there was a little bit of a flu bug going around earlier in the week in the locker room. What are you guys doing to take precautions to avoid that? It's not just here, it's all over the state of Wisconsin as well.
Yeah, I'm not really concerned about that. I take care of myself pretty well.
Aaron, you mentioned energy, and a lot of younger players haven't been in the playoffs. How do you manage that during the week, and how do you come out and execute and not be so high, especially for the guys that haven't been to this point in the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just talking to the young guys who haven't played, just reassuring them this is, obviously it's a more important game because it's win or go home, but the mindset needs to stay the same. I think that's what can happen is you just make it a little bit too big. You try and do a little too much, more than you have been doing. So, reminders about how important just doing your role is and doing what got us to this point. And it's the little things and guys not trying to do too much which in fact win these games instead of maybe the alternative thinking that you have to do even more to win the games. It's actually not that.
Did you ever think that in your earlier playoff experiences where you felt like I had to do more?
I was definitely nervous the first one, and I felt like I needed a splash play, maybe early and throw a pick on the first drive or first play or something. Felt pretty good after that, but I think that's just the nerves of so desperately wanting to succeed, and instead of what the nerve should be, which is not letting your teammates down and using that fear of failure to channel that into a positive direction.